Welcome to today's deep dive. Today's mission is honestly a pretty wild one. We're taking this massive stack of research articles and futurist essays you sent us to explore the complete timeline of nanotechnology.
Yeah, it's a huge topic to tackle.
Right, exactly. And looking through your notes, the biggest aha moment jumped out like immediately because you probably picture nanotech as this, I don't know, purely modern sci-fi concept like sterile labs and hazmat suits.
Multi-million-dollar lasers, yeah.
Exactly. But humans were actually manipulating matter at the 1 to 100 nanometer scale, literally millennia before we even had a word for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the 4th century Roman Lycurgus cup is like the perfect example from the historical data you showed.
Wait, what does that cup do exactly?
So it looks green when it's lit from the outside, but it turns red when light shines through it.
Yeah.
And modern analysis reveals the glass is laced with these 70 nanometer particles of silver and gold.
Wow, just from ancient glass makers.
Yeah. At that incredibly tiny scale, materials interact with light entirely differently. The specific physical size of a particle dictates exactly which color wavelength it reflects. Medieval stained glass makers used the exact same trick.
Oh, right, to get those glowing reds and yellows. And it wasn't just art either. Your sources trace this into ancient warfare, specifically those legendary Damascus steel swords.
The ones with the watery patterns, right?
Yeah. The blacksmiths obviously didn't know what a nanometer was, but they unknowingly introduced carbon from leaves and wood during the smelting process. The intense heating and hammering forced the carbon atoms into microscopic cylinders.
Which gave the blades their famous strength. Modern electron microscopes actually reveal those blades are absolutely packed with carbon nanotubes.
That's wild. I mean, it's basically like baking bread without understanding use.
That's a great analogy, actually.
They knew the recipes worked, but they didn't grasp the invisible atomic physics driving the results. So how did we move from blind artisan recipes to intentional science?
Well, we needed a theoretical framework first. So in 1959, physicist Richard Feynman gives this famous lecture proposing we can manipulate individual atoms.
Oh, the swallow the surgeon idea.
Exactly. He predicted a future where we could swallow the surgeon by building tiny machines at the molecular level. But it took another 15 years before Norio Taniguchi officially coined the term nanotechnology in 1974.
Okay, let's unpack this though, because theorizing is great, but looking at these papers, I'm stuck on the actual mechanics. How did we jump from dreaming about atoms to actually building with them? I mean, you can't exactly pick up a carbon atom with a pair of tweezers.
Right, visibility was the ultimate bottleneck. But in 1981, researchers at IBM invented the scanning tunneling microscope, or STM.
So they could finally see the atoms.
Well, it's less like turning on a light in a dark room and more like a blindfolded person reading Braille. The STM uses an infinitesimally tiny needle to physically feel the electrical bumps of individual atoms.
That is incredibly cool. And once we could actually feel the atoms, the research shows a massive acceleration.
Oh, totally. It kicked off this narrative of escalating capability. Scientists realized carbon wasn't just rigid. By 1985, they discovered buckyballs, which are these perfectly symmetrical soccer ball-shaped carbon molecules.
And once they knew spheres were possible, they kept pushing.
Yeah, leading to the 1991 discovery of carbon nanotubes. They're essentially those spheres stretched out into cylinders, 100 times stronger than steel, but 6 times lighter.
Which brings us to the craziest detail in your stack of articles. In 2004, researchers isolate graphene, a perfectly flat, single layer of carbon atoms.
Using sticky tape.
Yes. And they didn't use a laser, they used simple sticky tape. I have to admit some confusion here. How does office tape isolate a single atomic layer without destroying it?
It's so similar, it's almost funny. They literally just placed a flake of graphite on the tape, folded it, and peeled it apart over and over.
You're kidding.
Nope. They kept peeling layers away until they got down to a sheet exactly 1 atom thick. Those simple tools, combined with massive global funding like the National Nanotech Initiative in 2000, completely changed our engineering toolkit.
So nano is ubiquitous now.
Exactly. It's invisible, but it's powering the phone you're probably looking at right now. That relies on transistors shrunk down to a 3 nanometer scale.
And it's also reshaping medicine. Your sources highlighted how mRNA vaccines are delivered into our cells using lipid nanoparticles.
Which sounds incredibly complex, but
from what I gather, they are essentially just engineered microscopic fat bubbles designed to safely sneak the mRNA past our body's defenses.
spot on. And having mastered basic electronics and targeted drug delivery, the research points to the ultimate biological limit now. radical human life extension.
You mean the idea of nanorobots acting as an internal biological repair kit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tiny machines circulating in your bloodstream. Futurists envision them repairing cellular senescence.
Which is just the biological term for when our cells forget how to divide, right?
Yeah, and they start causing the symptoms we recognize as aging. These bots could clear out arterial plaque and reverse cellular damage at the atomic level.
It's an unbelievable journey when you zoom out. We started with Roman glassmakers accidentally making color-changing cups, and now we're talking about atomic machines navigating our bloodstreams to keep us young indefinitely.
It really is the ultimate evolution of mastering our material world.
But the research leaves us with something pretty heavy to chew on. If nanorobots eventually repair and replace every damaged cell in our bodies to keep us alive forever...
At what biological point do we stop being entirely human?
Exactly. Are you still you, or are you just a brilliantly engineered piece of modern stained glass? So, welcome to today's deep dive, where we're looking at your notes on the state of nanotechnology as of March 2026.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating batch of notes.
Right, and our mission today is basically figuring out how this whole field shifted from just treating a broken body to extreme life extension. I mean, back in 2024, nanotech was kind of structural, right? Like building a stronger car chassis.
Exactly, yeah. And now it's like injecting tiny mechanics into the engine while the car is doing 80 on the highway.
Just swapping out parts on the fly.
Yeah, swapping parts and honestly, even reprogramming the factory itself. The big shift here in 2026 is moving from passive observation to like active real-time biological programming right at the cellular level.
Wow. Okay, so if we're programming the factory, we really need to understand the new software here. Your notes highlight these things called chromalocytes as a major player in eradicating aging. Are these the mechanics we're talking about?
They are of a very specific type of cellular repair machine. Yeah. Basically, a chromalocyte physically enters a cell's nucleus, and it identifies damaged DNA to replace it with a fresh, digitally corrected copy.
Wait, it actually replaces the DNA?
Literally, yes. It directly targets the information loss theory of aging, which is just the idea that getting older is your cells slowly losing their original genetic blueprints over time.
So it's quite literally a system restore for your biology. You hit reboot and it just downloads the clean factory settings.
Well, close, but a system restore implies just software, right? This is a physical extraction and replacement. And, I mean, it doesn't even stop there. We also have autonomous nanomotors now.
Autonomous motors inside the body. What fuels those?
Just glucose, literally your body's natural blood sugar. They hunt down senescent zombie cells, which are cells that has stopped dividing but refuse to die, and they trigger ferroptosis.
Wait, is that like forcing the zombie cell to short circuit using its own iron?
You've got it. It's an iron-dependent programmed cell death. So it forces the cellular garbage to self-destruct.
That is wild.
It is. And when you combine that with microbivores, which are these synthetic white blood cells that digest pathogens 1,000 times faster than your natural immune system, well, the body is just constantly being cleaned.
Okay, hold on a second. Because I'm picturing millions of synthetic Pac-Men and iron short-circuiting motors just swimming through your veins.
Right, it's a lot to visualize.
Yeah, and if we pump all this artificial material into your blood, what stops these tiny garbage collectors from just piling up into a massive toxic traffic jam in your liver?
That toxic traffic jam was actually the biggest bottleneck for years. But the solution came from completely changing how we design these things, using AI-automated self-driving labs.
Self-driving labs.
Yeah, we use predictive toxicology now. So the AI simulates millions of interactions within a digital twin of a human liver or kidney before a single physical nanoparticle is ever even manufactured.
Oh, wow. So the AI is running like a fluid dynamic simulation of my organs to see exactly where a nanobot might get stuck.
Exactly.
Completely skipping the whole build it and test it on a mouse phase.
It completely bypasses traditional trial and error. And it's not just testing things, it's actively building them. These AI systems control robotic arms that synthesize materials 24/7.
Wow, they never sleep.
Right. They're creating structures that were deemed physically impossible just 2 years ago. Take silicon aromatics, or 1D electron chains.
What are those?
They're basically ultraconductive microscopic wires that allow for incredibly fast neural link interfaces.
So because the AI essentially turned complex chemistry into a predictive software game, it knows exactly how the atoms will fold before it even picks up the test tube.
Which drastically accelerates getting this tech out of the lab and directly onto your body.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what we call interventionist medicine,
Like catching the disease before symptom zero, basically, which I guess explains the wearables mentioned in your notes.
Yes, exactly.
Like the contact lenses and skin patches covered in microscopic nanoneedles that actively monitor your RNA and proteins.
Yeah, and the real breakthrough there is how affordable they're becoming. There was a recent Cambridge discovery that harnessed a light-powered chemical reaction.
Using light.
Right, using specific wavelengths of light to snap complex drug molecules together at the very last stage of production. It makes highly personalized nanomedicine cheap enough for everyday consumer patches.
That is incredible.
We're also seeing those same labs use molecular tricks to mimic spider silk to weave biocompatible artificial ligaments.
Okay, so if you tear your ACL skiing next year, they aren't slicing you open. They're practically weaving an unbreakable web right inside your knee.
Exactly.
But running real-time RNA scanners and spinning artificial silk has to take massive amounts of power, right?
It does, which is why the sensors utilize thermoelectric permanent magnets. They actually harvest the ambient heat your body naturally generates.
Harvesting waste heat? Wait, so I'm essentially a walking human battery. I never have to plug my own medical monitors into a wall.
As long as you have a pulse and body heat, the sensors just run indefinitely.
That completely reframes what medicine is for you. I mean, this deep dive really shows nanotech officially moving from a passive drug delivery system into an era of active, personalized molecular maintenance.
It really is a fundamental shift in our relationship with our own biology.
Mhm.
We're outfitting the human body with an upgrade that works in real time.
You're no longer treating the break. You have microscopic mechanics actively preventing the break from happening at all.
Exactly.
But, if we've completely upgraded the engine, it kind of makes you wonder about the original parts. Like, if those synthetic microbivores we mentioned are digesting viruses 1,000 times faster than your natural white blood cells ever could,
Right.
will your organic immune system eventually realize it's outmatched, become completely obsolete, and just shut down entirely? Something to think about.
So, imagine looking at your smartphone, right, and seeing a push notification warning you that you're going to have a heart attack in exactly 3 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying.
Right, but you don't even feel sick. Your chest doesn't hurt at all. It's just that a swarm of injectable nanosensors, which are like smaller than 100 microns,
Yeah.
have already detected the really faint protein markers of an impending blockage. Welcome to today's Deep Dives, you guys. We've got a massive stack of current 2026 research on the nanotechnology frontier.
Yeah, and our mission today is really tracking humanity's leap from, theoretical science into the actual era of molecular engineering.
Exactly. We're talking about manipulating matter atom by atom in a way that is just fundamentally reshaping human longevity and, well, global energy. Because let's unpack this, starting with that medical reality, because treating symptoms after they occur is suddenly looking incredibly outdated.
Oh, it really is. I mean, we are seeing a complete shift from reactive medicine to actively fixing our biological code. Take cancer treatments, for example. Instead of flushing the entire body with toxic chemotherapy, we now have these targeted nanocarriers. They completely bypass healthy tissue to deliver payloads directly to tumors, which, makes cancer a manageable condition rather than a terminal one.
Wow. So to put an analogy to that, it's kind of a hyper-precise postal worker who only delivers heavy packages to specific diseased houses, right?
Yeah,
While completely ignoring all the healthy ones.
that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And it uses this biological lock and key mechanism. The nanoparticles are coated with chemical keys that only bind to specific locks on a cancer cell. So I have to ask, are these sensors and carriers the actual groundwork for Ray Kurzweil's famous prediction? The one about humans becoming potentially immortal by 2030.
Yes, absolutely. It introduces this whole concept of chromatocytes.
Wait, those are the plausible nanodevices, right?
Exactly. And the mechanism is just wild. They're designed to actually enter a cell nucleus, physically unspool the chromatin, and compare your DNA against a pristine, digitized map of your genome.
And if they find a mutation.
They use custom enzymes to literally snip out the damaged sequence and splice in a fresh corrected copy. It reverses aging at the cellular level.
That is just mind-bending.
Yeah.
But, logically, if we can engineer biological self-repair, we must be applying those exact same atomic principles to the physical world around us, too.
Oh, 100%. I mean, once you master the atomic math for repairing DNA, you've basically solved the physics for inanimate matter. The leap from fixing a human heart to fixing a concrete bridge is just a change in the materials you're programming.
Which perfectly explains the new physical reality of our infrastructure.
Yeah.
I mean, there are commercial self-healing coatings for aerospace and construction now.
Right. They have these embedded microcapsules of liquid resin.
Yeah. Instead of waiting for a stress fracture to cause a failure, if a microcrack forms,
Hmm?
it just ruptures the capsule, the resin leaks out, and it
Right.
instantly and permanently seals the gap.
It's completely autonomous maintenance. And the energy sector is seeing an identical paradigm shift.
Oh man, the blue energy breakthroughs in our sources are staggering. They're using these slippery nanopores coated with lipid molecules to generate massive electricity just by mixing salt water and fresh water.
Yeah, the lipid coating is so precise it literally strips the hydration shells off passing salt ions.
Right, forcing this high-speed flow of positive charge. And you
Yeah.
combine that with nano batteries, and you get safe charging in minutes.
It's incredible. And, well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we're rapidly approaching a massive collision of tech curves. By 2029, AI is projected to reach human-level capability.
Wow, 2029.
Yeah, and that AI will be able to design molecular machines way too complex for the human brain to mathematically conceptualize. This leads directly to the 2030s deployment of, like, blood cell-sized submarines that perform scarless, permanent bodily repair.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If AI is taking over the design of these machines by 2029, are human engineers about to become obsolete in their own defining frontier?
Well, it's a fair question, but I wouldn't call it obsolescence. Human engineers are basically transitioning from draftsmen to architects.
I see.
We won't be doing the raw atomic level calculations, sure, but we still define the biological goals, the system parameters, and the ultimate purpose of what the AI is building. We direct the evolution.
So what does this all mean? It means we have permanently crossed a threshold. We are no longer passively observing molecular science. We are actively executing molecular engineering, literally rewriting the code of life and the physics of the world around us.
Which leaves you with a final thought to explore on your own.
Let's hear it.
If nanotechnology eventually keeps both our physical bodies and our physical infrastructure in a permanent state of perfect, automated repair, how will human psychology and our appetite for risk change? When the natural threat of physical decay is entirely eliminated, how will you choose to live inside a world that refuses to break?